What makes up pop and folk culture in Turkey?
There are many things that make Turkey's pop and folk culture different from others around the country. One of them are that the main culture groups in Turkey are Kurds, Greeks, and Armenians. Globalization has helped Turkey in many ways, and one of them being that they have taken out the communist government and switched to more of a democratic way of government that's really helped them. Another thing is that as Western countries started to develop, Turkey decided to develop as well, and it's helped the country to become stronger and give them many more opportunities. Turkey's in the stage 3 of the DTM, and that is because they have declining natural increase rate, and it does not look like that will change anytime soon.
What religion do most Turkish people follow?
For religion, Islam is definitely the most common and the most dominant. There are two types of Muslims found in Turkey, one being the Shiite Muslims and the other being the Sunni Muslims. The Sunni Muslims are definitely the most common and the larger group. For hierarchy of religion, there really is not one, due to the fact that not one religion rules over or has control over the other. The one thing is that since there's so many Muslim followers in the country, it definitely has influence over others. Islam is the autonomous religion in Turkey due to the fact that 99% of the country's population follow Islam, including civilians and government officials. Islam is the ethnic religion found in Turkey because they tend to keep trying to get followers to come to their religion even though they already have so many. The hearth of Islam comes from Mecca and Medina in Saudi Arabia. A lot of Islam followers moved there to come to Turkey and brought their religion with them. Islam spread by contagious diffusion due to the fact that many people left Saudi Arabia to come to Turkey and the religion was with them and ended up spreading to the people and civilians in Turkey. Most of the Muslim people live in the Asia-Pacific region, including countries like Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq, and Pakistan. Those 4 countries have the most Muslim followers in the country other than Turkey. There are a lot of famous holy sites in Turkey, one of them being the Topkapı Palace and holy relics, and there also are a lot of mosques and different religious sites that are holy in the country. A couple of them include the Faith Mosque, the New Mosque, the Blue Mosque, and the Ortaköy Mosque.
What are the ethnic groups in Turkey and what are the issues between them?
Most of Turkey is heavily dominated by the Turkish ethnicity. However, the largest ethnic minority are the Kurds. They mostly occupy the areas in eastern Turkey, but there are a few ethnic enclaves of Kurds spread throughout the country of Turkey. All the other ethnicities in Turkey make up around 10% of the population. The Kurdish and Turkish populations are extremely divided due to their differing beliefs and the decades of conflict between these ethnicities. One example of these ethnic conflicts is the Kurdish-Turkish conflict. Nearly 1/5 of the population of Turkey is made up of the Kurdish people. The conflict is between the Republic of Turkey and various Kurdish insurgent groups. The conflict arose from the political oppression of the Kurdish people for many years. The Kurdish people called for greater political and cultural rights in Turkey or separation from Turkey to create an independent homeland. At one point during the conflict, the Republic of Turkey made it illegal to speak the Kurdish language or to dress in Kurdish-style clothing. The conflict began in 1978 and is still ongoing today. Multiple ceasefires have been made between these times, but have all been broken. Tens of thousands of people have lost their lives due to this conflict in Turkey, and the Kurdish still call for an independent homeland. Some racial groups in Turkey are Caucasian, Black, and Mongoloid. While there is much ethnic conflict in Turkey, it is hard to determine if one's race further contributes to discrimination. There is no evidence denying the fact that a Jewish or Greek man may be further discriminated against due to not only their ethnicity, but also their race. Statistics show that the non-Muslim minority in the country of Turkey is decreasing with each passing year.
What is the most commonly spoken language
The only
in Turkey?
official language of Turkey is Turkish. Turkish is from the Altaic language family and is spoken from Central Asia to Eastern Europe. The Turkish language was spread to Turkey through contagious diffusion from the Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Empire spoke Turkish and their territory went from present-day Eastern Europe to Western Asia. The capital of the Ottoman Empire was Constantinople and the city was later named Istanbul, which is now the capital of Turkey. The Ottoman Empire and Turkey share a rich history with very similar culture and traditions. None of the shared history is as prevalent as the Turkish language, as it was passed down from generation to generation and is now the most spoken language of a multilingual country. The citizens of Turkey speak multiple common languages throughout the country. Turkish is the most spoken language with 90% or 71 million people of the population speaking Turkish. The second most spoken language is Kurmanji with around 6% of the population speaking this language. Kurmanji is mainly spoken among the Kurdish ethnic group and is the most prevalent minority language. Other languages that are frequently spoken throughout Turkey are Arabic and Zazak. The only official language of Turkey is Turkish. Turkish is from the Altaic language family and is spoken from Central Asia to Eastern Europe.
What is life like for men and women in Turkey?
Turkey is in stage 3 of the demographic transition model, which isn't bad. However, women in Turkey are treated poorly. Only 28% of women work, while 46% of women say they have never worked at all. But women do play a decent role in agriculture. According to figures for 2014 from the Turkish Statistical Institute, out of 5 million there are 470,000 people working in agriculture. 46.3% of the agricultural density are made up of women. Also, the Turkish government is made up of 14.3% of women. So women don't have nearly the role they should when it comes to the workforce. This is concerning because there are 97 males for every 100 females, meaning there are more females than males. In my opinion, Turkey should try to involve more women in the workforce. 70% of women live in the city, while only 30% of women live in rural areas, causing cities to have a larger population density. Also, there are a lot of women marches standing up for women's rights, whether it be that women get more rights or the latest march against women's violence. This march happened because of the rise in murder of women. Last year, 409 women were murdered. In summary, the Turkish government needs to find ways to get women involved in the workforce and find a way to treat women better.